My dear friends and my dear masters and my dear gods of India and the whole world, today let us know about a great movement called as the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement. The Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement is a new age movement. We are in a great new age. The old age is fast receding and a new age is done. And Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement is a great new age movement, born in India and spreading all over the world. About 30 years back, when one person became enlightened, the movement began. When any person becomes enlightened, a movement begins all over the world. Like when you throw a stone in a pond, then the ripples will start and will spread all over the pond. When Mahavira became enlightened, a whole movement started. When Buddha got enlightened, a whole movement started. When Adi Shankaracharya got enlightened, a whole movement started. When Jesus Christ got enlightenment, a whole movement started. When Muhammad became enlightened, a whole movement started. Similarly, when any person becomes enlightened, a new movement starts. The Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement also started because one person got enlightened, and that one person is sitting in front of you and speaking. Before enlightenment, there is always a search for truth. When the search for truth gets culminated in personal experience of truth, then that is called as enlightenment. Without a search for truth, there is no enlightenment. There is a search for truth. Yeah, I would like to have truth. Well, I am not satisfied with these transitory things. The worldly situations, the worldly acquisitions, the worldly experiences, the worldly name and fame and achievement and success. When they are not giving you enough satisfaction, you seek that satisfaction from somewhere else, something inside. And you want to know whether there is something inside. As all the great masters have said, you would like to check out with personal experience whether whatever they have said, the so-called earlier saints and masters, what have they said? Is it relevant to my case also? When that kind of search for truth begins, then a new life begins, which is called as spirituality. You take the first steps in spirituality. You seclude yourself. Then you try to make your mind empty and see what happens. So, in any person's life, when a search for truth begins, an introversion begins, and he would like to sit alone, he or she, whatever it is, would like to sit alone and take stock of things and empty the world inside the mind. There is always a big world in the mind. The mind is a big world, my dear friends. The search for truth begins either in the case of Mahavira, Buddha, Muhammad, anywhere. Muhammad went and sat inside a cave, they call it the Hira cave, near Mecca. There he started contemplation, and there he was a successful businessman, but he started his search for truth. Well, he went to the isolation and started emptying the mind. Then, of course, where there is a desire, there is always fulfillment of that desire. When there is a desire for enlightenment, when there is a desire for search for truth, what is truth? Truth that transcends all limitations of space, time and situation. That's truth. If something is constant in all times and all spaces and all situations, that particular thing is called as truth. So, a search for truth is for a truth that is available or common or same under all situations, in all times and wherever you are, howsoever you are. That which is universal experience, that which is universally valid, that is truth. T-R-U-T-H, truth. Gandhiji made his own experiments with truth, and he did arrive at truth, spirituality. Personal experience of spirituality. So, my dear friends, well, the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement also started with one person's enlightenment. When one person becomes enlightened, now everything around that person has to change. Every event around that person has to change. Every other person who happens to interact with that kind of person, enlightened person, now the effect has to happen, the ripple effect. Now, whosoever touches that particular enlightened man now has got clear choice whether to become like that or not. And it facilitates the enlightenment of everybody else. 30 years back, this person got enlightened towards the end of the year 1979. When everything became clear here, hey guy, this is what you are. Hey guy, this is what you have come here for. This is what you have to speak. This is what you have to think. This is what you have to plan. You have to distribute the enlightenment for the common cause of the world. So everything got clear here around the end of the year 1979 here. This fellow became empty. The body is a shell, now emptiness is here. There is no craving for worldly things. Well, you have to do your minimal duties in the world, but the major purpose in life is to explain enlightenment, to distribute enlightenment, to expose enlightenment to each and every person whomsoever you meet. What happens when you become enlightened? You come out of misery, you come out of dukkha. You acquire a basic common sense, a crystal clear common sense. Now your every word, every deed, every thought is well channelized, focused. When you become enlightened, you clearly understand the truth or the life as lived by a Mahavir, a Buddha, a Gandhi, an Osho, a Ramana Maharshi, thousands and thousands of them. Now, they are all your colleagues. What you have achieved now, they have achieved earlier. What they have achieved earlier, now you have achieved that. As Gautama Buddha said, hey, there are millions of enlightened people before me, and millions of people will become enlightened after me. I am just one. I am not the only one. I am just one. So, my dear friends, the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement was born after the enlightenment of one person who is sitting in front of you speaking about enlightenment. There is a saying in Zen that mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers, and then mountains are not mountains and rivers are not rivers, and third stage again, mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers. That is a classic Zen statement. Same thing happens. During the course of enlightenment, mountains are not mountains and rivers are not rivers. Because what you see the world is not exactly what it is. It's something else. When you experience that something else, then you come back to square one. Hey, you live happily in this world, where mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers, persons are persons, things are things, events are events. And you will live with the same person, with the same events, but in a totally happiness mode, a joyful mode, an enlightened mode. You know everything that's going on around yourself. You understand each and every micro thing that's happening around. Why it happens? My dear friends, when you become enlightened for the first time in life, you acquire happiness, a state of bliss, which is not exactly happiness, which is not exactly bliss. It is happiness, non-happiness. It is bliss, non-bliss. It is in the, what you can say, in the neutral gear. Neither you are moving forward, nor you are moving backward. You are on a absolutely neutral ground. When you speak out, when you think out, when you do out, what is exposed or what is exhibited is your own neutrality, which is neither for nor against, howsoever. When you become enlightened, what you teach people is a new science called as spiritual science. Before enlightenment, you do not know what exactly is spiritual science. But now that you have become enlightened, you know pinpointedly what exactly is spiritual science. Now your life becomes dedicated to spiritual science. This person also, when this guy became enlightened, towards the end of the year 1979, after a number of years of search for truth, trying to experience truth, trying to gather truth from various other truth seekers, what happens is a beautiful science emanates, becomes evident. That science is called as the spiritual science. As you get educated in the material science, right from your childhood, you study physics, the light, the sound, the Newtonian laws, etc., etc. You understand the cause and effect in the outer world. Now, you understand the cause and the effect in the inner world. That which is governing all the events of people. It's a science. It follows exactly mathematical equations. Nothing is cursory, accidental, or we don't know what is the reason for that. We know the reason for it. Everything is non-accidental, planned, executed with precision. But it is not exactly evident to the outer senses, that's all. Should you go a little inside, then you understand the whole panorama of the science, the spiritual science, where what you want to happen, happens to you. In a place called as Kurnool, in Andhra Pradesh state, where this guy was working at that time in a fertilizer company with a wife and 2 kids. Now, a movement started, which is called as the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement. The purpose of the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement is to spread spiritual science everywhere. Teach everybody spiritual science. Spiritual science is neither Buddhism, nor Jainism, nor Hinduism, nor Christianity, nor Islam, but gathers in its beautiful hands all religions. Because all these masters have been spiritual scientists, only slightly it got diluted in the public mind, became a religion. Now, that dilution process has to take a U-turn, and everybody has to come back to the pristine spiritual science, which has been explained by all these great masters or the founders of these so-called religions. They were never founders of religion. They were the experiencers of enlightenment and explainers of spiritual science. So, the Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement goes to the villages, goes to the towns, goes to each and every house with a pamphlet. Hey guy, now this is what is spiritual science. This is what you are. You are not a physical structure. Okay, you are a pure consciousness, eternity. And you can experience this great self of yourself through meditation. Spiritual science has got 6 laws. The first law is the law of consciousness. Hey guy, you are that consciousness, you are not what this. You are the Atma. Atma is a beautiful Sanskrit word for whatever is called as consciousness. The awareness. Everything is aware. Awareness. At some level you are aware only of the external things. At some other level you are also aware of the internal things. That's enlightenment. If you are aware of, conscious of internal things, then you are called as enlightened. If you are not yet aware or conscious of things happening inside, then you are not yet enlightened. You are not yet a spiritual science. When you become enlightened, you understand for the first time the rudiments, the elements of spiritual science. And as you advance in your enlightenment, as you begin to teach or expose enlightenment to others, as you study the subject of enlightenment itself from various masters, from all the people who have become enlightened, then a core spiritual science subject begins to emerge. Very beautiful science. The first principle or the first law of the spiritual sense is, hey guy, you are consciousness. The law of consciousness. The second law is the law of reincarnation. This is not the first time you are this physical body. The consciousness is the same, but there are many bodies. And the third law is the law of karma and law of the results of karma. Law of action and law of the results are fruits of that action. Every action bears the fruit which you eat. Good action bears the fruit you eat. Your evil action, negative action, bad action, disturbing action, troublesome action, again bears the fruit which you have to eat. What you do unto others is what you eat for yourself. It's a constant. And when you understand this, you do understand this in terms of worldly things, but when you understand these things through number of incarnations, that is called as enlightenment. Again you understand that, and you come out with the fourth law of spiritual science, which says the law of constant progression. Howsoever you are constantly progressing. It is called as the law of constant evolution. The first law is the law of consciousness, which says you are not the physical body, you are an Atma, you are a consciousness. The second, the law of incarnation or reincarnation. Then first time you come into a physical body, then you keep on coming in a physical body, a human body. Okay, to complete the cycle. Whatever you want to learn, you have to learn in the physical body. It takes a number of bodies for you to understand the whole human system. Hundreds of bodies you have to take, and hundreds of lifetimes you have to spend in all different situations that a human body offers. Then while you do that, you keep on initiating some action or other and then reaping the fruits thereof. It's a constant thing. On the one hand, you are reaping the fruits of your earlier actions, and at the same time, you are also initiating some new actions which will bear fruit in due course, which again you have to eat, good and bad. Now the fourth law says, hey Baba, you are constantly evolving. Every experience is valid, good or bad. Every experience adds to the fabric of the soul, of the Atma. Every experience is a new learning, is a fresh learning. When that kind of understanding dawns upon you, now you are compassionate, empathetic to each and every person. Well, try whatever you want to try. Although I know it's wrong, you keep on trying. One day you will come back. One day you will see the truth. You will also become enlightened. And you will take a U-turn and exactly do what I am doing. So, do whatever you want to do. Take your own decisions. Follow your own thinking. But understand that ultimately, everybody has to come to the truth. Ultimately, everybody has to become enlightened. That is the destiny of each and every soul. To become enlightened is the destiny of each and every. Through gathering varieties of experience and understanding the constant truth behind it, which is free will. So, my dear friend, and the fifth law is law of hastening the evolution through meditation, through reading right books. Many ways of hastening the evolution through service to others. And the best way to hasten your evolution is through meditation. Closing your eyes, observing your breath, and making your mind empty. So the fifth law is called the law of hastening the evolution. Meditation. You are evoluting, of course, at your own pace, but should you do meditation if you want to hasten further, if you adopt meditation? So you take a quicker, you have a quicker progress towards your own goal, towards your own destiny, which is enlightenment. And the sixth beautiful thing that happens to you when you understand the sixth law is that you find infinities everywhere, all around. You are not in the midst of limited things. You are not in the midst of restrictions. There are no restrictions. There are no imposed things. You are in the midst of infinities all around. You yourself are an infinite consciousness, and everywhere around there are infinite consciousness. Thinking that they're not consciousness, they're not infinite consciousness, they're just this physical body. They are just assuming that, but they are not. So you understand, infinity is everywhere, all around you. Every entity is infinite. You see only infinity everywhere, all around you, all the time. That's the final understanding of spiritual science. Before you became enlightened, this fellow became enlightened towards the end of the year 1979. But before that, this guy could not understand what is spiritual science. Although it was there in the books, you cannot understand it. Although you have all the worldly experiences, you have the necessary worldly intellect, you cannot understand, grasp the elements of spiritual science, and you suffer. Suffering is the common note of all those people who are yet to become enlightened. But when you do become enlightened through meditation, then you understand all, you start understanding the elements of spiritual science one by one by one by one by one. The Pyramid Spiritual Society movement is dedicated to spread spiritual science to all schools and colleges, houses, to all the people, the common man, the poor man, the rich man, the housewife, the temple priest, to the professors of university, to every person. The Pyramid Spiritual Society movement is spreading a new science, which is not exactly a new science, which is age-old science, but putting new garments, new fashion, up-to-date fashion, and presenting them. There are hundreds and thousands of masters of Pyramid Spiritual Society movement who are doing this great job all over India and all over the world. And this tribe of people are called as the Pyramid Masters is increasing day by day, as it has to. All those people who have got a yearning for search for truth, the Pyramid Spiritual Society movement is extending a hand. Hey, you want to become enlightened? Here is my hand. Come, this is my hand. Helping hand. Hold this hand and come here, sit here and sit, do along with me meditation. When you become enlightened, you stop eating animals. It becomes automatic. You understand what a crime it is. How many crimes you have committed by killing animals and eating their flesh, eating it here. What a dastardly act it was. The first thing that happens when you become enlightened is you become a vegetarian. That's an offshoot of enlightenment. Before you become enlightened, you don't understand why you should not eat any animal. So there are arguments and arguments and arguments. But when you yourself sit in meditation, become enlightened, you automatically say, hey, how can you give suffering to animals who are yourself? The same mighty consciousness has got several bodies, and you are in one body, the same consciousness in some other body. How can you destroy that body, harm that body? So that kind of understanding comes automatically once you become enlightened. Before that enlightenment, you can't understand this superior logic of spiritual science. The material science has got an inferior logic with it, whereas the spiritual science has got a superior logic. Unless you become a superior person, you cannot understand the superior logic. As long as you are an inferior person, not given to search for truth, only given to search for sensual pleasures, you cannot understand what is compassion, what is helpfulness, what is non-killing, non-interference. But once you become, in due course, every person has to become enlightened. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. If not in this lifetime, the next lifetime. Absolutely, everybody must tread the path of search for truth and search for enlightenment. That is the destiny of each and every soul. Knowingly or unknowingly, every soul is traveling towards that destiny. There is a plan and purpose behind each and every event. There is a basic goodness as the source of, as the substratum of each and every event. In the formation of the universe, there is an infinite compassion, there is infinite patience. My dear friends, and my dear masters and my dear gods of India and the whole world. The Pyramid Spiritual Society movement extends its hearty welcome to all those people who are seeking peace of mind, health of the body, energy in the body, meaning in life, and true satisfaction of the intellect. Come into spiritual science. Study the books of spiritual science. There are any number of new age spiritual scientists. Just go to the market or just in the Google search, just say spiritual science and you see what comes out of it. Become a spiritual scientist. Become enlightened. Become happy, healthy, blissful. Become a source of joy to all those people who are around you. Source of health, source of common sense, source of purpose, source of meaning. The Pyramid Spiritual Society movement has its website www.pssmovement.org. Go into the website and find out the nearest pyramid master in your locality. And take the help of that person, that master, that dedicated individual, that enlightened being. Get into your own enlightenment. Thank you, thank you, thank you.